What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we got to talk about my NBA Finals expectations. But before I do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment, tell anyone about the show. Trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals expectations. It's a good one. It's a good one. And my talking points, just like to note, this is my final initial expectations listing. That's right. We're going to go over what we're going with on this one. All right. I'm also going to talk about the meanings of the team winning. Okay. Both teams. And then finally, my finals game breakdown wish list. Fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen. Fingers crossed. But let's go ahead and talk about the NBA playoffs because we are here. We got the Pacers. We got the OKC Thunder. It's a good time. I told y'all earlier, I lean OKC. I do lean OKC. A couple storylines for the finals, right? Arguably have the top basketball state, Indiana, top basketball state. That's what people trying to say. And then we got the NBA's top atmosphere. Like when I hear the OKC Thunder fan base, specifically in the arena, it's a college-like atmosphere. Like imagine Duke Blue Devils, but for the NBA. That's what they're trying to paint the picture as. And then again, Mr. Basketball state of Indiana. That's what we talking about. I've seen people talk about how the Pacers, how Indiana, they ain't really got much going on in the environment, but they're in the NBA Finals. That's all that matters right now. So again, OKC as an NBA champion, Pacers as an NBA champion. OKC sounds a little more appealing for some reason. It really, truly does. I think it also creates for more future drama and entertainment in the NBA. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we got some drama to talk about already. Like how this finals is kind of sparked by Paul George. Let's talk about it because remember, we know Paul George, how he was traded by the Pacers after the injury too, the leg injury he had. That was tough. And remember the Pacers with Paul George, they looked like they could have dethroned LeBron James and the Heatles. So I'm just put it in context, right? But PG was brought in for a second rounder that was used to bring in Pascal Siakam. And he was traded to the Thunder, ironically. Now, keep in mind, too, that Paul George was also traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. To the Clippers, he went from OKC to the Clippers. And they had a gang of draft picks that also brought in Jalen Williams and other players. And not just with Paul George, too, but ladies and gentlemen, we gotta throw into the mix that because of these moves, the Pacers did have Domantas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo from OKC. Guess what? They ended up trading Sabonis to the Kings for Tyrese Haliburton. Like, there's a bunch of stuff mixed between these two teams. Hell, even Nembhard and Ben Shepherd were flipped for Karis LeVert by the Pacers recently. So again, we do have some ties, some connection to the Pacers and OKC. And it's not just because they reached the finals. Again, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Paul George for not really making the finals. Actually, now that I think about it, damn, that's tough. The teams that traded you away made the finals before you did. That's not going to end well. That's not going to end well. But let's not do too much Paul George slander, ladies and gentlemen, because again, I do want to talk about these two teams, OKC and the Pacers. Now, I'm talking about OKC, right? We're talking about talks of a dynasty, okay? Talks of a dynasty. Will the Shea stands emerge? And what will their appearance be like? Buddy 1-0 in the finals. Oh, we 5 away from Jordan. You know what I'm saying? He done about 3 seasons, averaging 30. We on our way. I'm curious how the Shea stands, the SGA stands are gonna go. Also, the new OKC is greater than the old OKC. Talks, I'm not looking forward to hearing because I'm a Kevin Durant fan. All right. Don't get me wrong. This OKC is cool. And in theory, it might even be better than what the old OKC had. Individually, though, I don't know about that. That's tough. That is tough. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant were all MVPs. J-Dub, Chet, I don't know about you. I don't know about y'all. Let's see. We also got to talk about OKC's future. Hey, they can't pay everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Look at this. All right. Look at this. They got the MVP. They got J-Dub. They got Chet. They got Caruso. They got Hartenstein. They got Lou Dort. They got so many players who, especially if they win, their value goes up. Hell, teams are going to try to take the OKC Thunder's players away from them just to be strategic. So I'm curious how OKC's future going because they can't pay everybody. And they got to continue to draft well. And we all human. We're going to mess up at some point in time. So I'm curious what OKC's future going to look like. And then finally, Mark Daigneault, the coach. What's his coaching staff? Or status? Well, staff too, because they actually are, they not bad. But Mark's status as a coach in the NBA, we're going to have to talk about that. I remember when Eric Spoelstra won the championship, and people were talking about give him time, give him a little patience. All right, cool. But now we refer to him as one of the best coaches in the NBA, right? So I'm curious if that narrative will start to change for Mark. But flip side to it, though. Let's say they lose. What happens to all those narratives? What happens to all those storylines? Keep in mind, too, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, they're still in the NBA, things like that. Mark, do you get fired after making it to the finals? We just saw people get fired after making it to the conference finals. I'm just saying. Hell, Darvin Ham made it kind of far and lost and got fired the next year. Just saying. It's very possible. So, again, OKC talks of the dynasty, talks of given the age of the trio, yeah, they'll lose. I wonder if people will start slowing down those talks. But definitely curious about that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is one I really want to know about. Because, again, like I said, we're talking about the Pacers. We're talking about the Thunder, right, for the finals. And it ain't happened yet. It has not happened yet. But here's my thing, though, okay? We're talking about the Pacers now. Front runners, or are they legitimate title contenders? Was this a legitimate title run? Because, remember, we do have a lot of injuries with this Pacers squad. Well, I'm sorry, not the Pacers squad, who they played against. Like, this is trash. But you got to play against who you play against, right? Now, again, I've heard people talk about them being front runners. Hallie specifically, Tyrese Haliburton has gotten a lot of crap thrown at him this year, especially after the Olympics, where he won't really play it like that. But now he ain't really playing with y'all because his ass is playing in the NBA Finals. And he's gotten further than a lot of y'all a lot of players who you guys consider NBA stars. No shade, Donovan Mitchell, just saying. No shade, Joel Embiid, just saying. So, Haliburton vindication post the offseason. I think it's done. My question now is, where does he rank in terms of the NBA guards? And then is he a 1 or 2 option? I said he's a second option. He could be proving me wrong. He's had a couple of good games. To be fair, though, it was the Knicks. Knicks be nicking. But Haliburton is looking all right right now, point in time before the finals are starting. Now, Siakam, Pascal Siakam, you're a champion. I expect a lot out of you from this finals. What's your legacy going to look like? Ladies and gentlemen, if Pascal Siakam wins another finals, another championship, and let's say he becomes finals MVP too, how does Siakam look? We got some more. Hey, we got some more years left for Siakam. Just saying. So it might be a little interesting how people are viewing Pascal Siakam with this point in time. And I remember I said too, he has the most championship experience right now in the NBA Finals, at least tied with Alex Caruso, I guess. But from roles, he top dog right now. Then speaking of top dog, Miles Turner, the Pacers center. You've been doing a wonderful job, champ. You have been. You've been doing what they need you to do. I would love to see you blocking the ball, rim protecting just a little bit more. I know you're not always near the rim. Still, I'd like to see that up a little bit. But that's your best value to the team outside of spacing, being the third option. They need you in that regard. The other players, I don't know if they really going to be stopping Shea like that. But if you can provide a rim protection, an enforcer, that would be great. So, again, Miles Turner, I'm looking at you, champ. Also, Rick Carlisle, coaching status. I talked about Mark for OKC. Yeah, Rick, I'm not going to say you mid, but I've always felt like you was mid. So prove me wrong, baby. Now you got the time to showcase. This is your time. This is your time. Come on. Easy. And you got a squad on you. We can't deny that no more. We can talk about y'all playing against injury-riddled teams all we want to. Y'all got a squad on y'all now. Huh. And again, like I said earlier, the basketball state of Indiana. Sounds good, right? What happens if the Pacers win? Does this impact the WNBA any? Like for those who believe in script writing, if the Pacers win, then the Fever win. Oh my gosh, Indiana is about to go stupid, dumb, wild. And then talk about the Caitlin Clark stands, the Pacer fans, the Fever fans. Might be a frenzy in the NBA and WNBA. You might get some more eyes because, hey, the men and women sister squad, brother and sister squads won. Kind of interesting. That'd be a wonderful storyline. And like I said, does this also add any validation to the in-season tournament? I don't really care about the in-season tournament too much, but guess what? Pacers did get to the finals not too long ago in the in-season tournament, and now they're here in the NBA finals. So maybe there's some correlation to that. But again, ladies and gentlemen, these are the storylines for the for the Indiana Pacers and OKC Thunder. Now, again, focusing on the finals, right? Because that's what we're talking about. Pacers, Indiana, Thunder, Oklahoma City. I don't know who I want to lean with in terms of who going to win. I'm lying. I said OKC. So let's go down to game predictions, right? Because I do this before we close up shop, right? Do this before we close up shop. Here's my wish list, ladies and gentlemen. Here's my wish list, okay? Game 1, Pacers. Shout out Siakam, right? Like the Pacers taking game 1. Oh, I told y'all Thunder is overrated. Ooh, the West ain't that stacked. Got you. Then game 2, Thunder win. Shout out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He gets a little slack in game 1. It's okay, though. We cool. We going to bust a UE and bust that ass in game 2. Shout out, Shai. Then game 3, because now, like I said, series tie 1-1, right? Thunder win game 3. Shout out J-Dub and Caruso. You know what I mean? They show up when they need to show up. Game 4, 3-1. No, I'm playing. Pacers win. They tied the series 2-2. They knew what time it was. Hallie had to show up. Shout out to Hallie. Then shout out Benny. Shout out Benny Matherin. You know what I'm saying? And then shout out my guy, Miley Turner. Now, Miley actually sounds quite terrible. Miles Turner it is. Those 3 show up for game 4. So now we tied 2-2, ladies and gentlemen. Now we tied 2-2. Game 5. This is the make or break one for me. All right? Pacers, shout out Siakam because he know we need to get this. We have to get this. We can close at our home. That's what he's saying. So he had to show up, and he showed out. Tip of the cap, Siakam. Game 5. OKC says not quite yet though. We gotta shout out Shai and Chet, right? Pacers, they missed the closeout shot. It was close. OKC just outpaced the Pacers. You see what I'm saying? Then game 7, I got question marks because it's a jump ball. It's a tie game. It's a tie series. 3-3. We going to game 7, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody and their mama might be able to go off, or nobody and their mama might be able to go off. That's the crazy thing about it. You never know what to expect from a game 7. So I gotta unfortunately lean with the OKC Thunder because that's where I leaned. However, I will say this again. The Pacers can win, ladies and gentlemen. The Pacers can win. It's just Thunder, they do have an MVP who I expect to have MVP performance in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, he's had a breakout season thus far, and he's emerged as a key contributor. First-time All-Star selection and All-NBA honors. Not to mention the boy got good defense. Now, he only 6'5", and that keeps throwing me off. I thought Buddy was like 6'8", but 6'5 is cool. And then, like I said, Chet, you can argue him as your second or third option. He cool with me. 7-footer with some skill, add some bulk to him a little bit. Boom, you in the thick of things. But you in the NBA Finals, and you ain't got to do that just yet. So, like I said, the legacy of this Thunder squad, it could be a good one. And then when we talk about the Pacers, again, we're talking about someone like Tyrese Haliburton and his leadership. Because, again, he's had to be a leader. He's had to hold his head up high after not playing in the Olympics and being embarrassed, right? That's a 360 turnaround right there. Or 180. I'm sorry, not 360. That's a 180 turnaround right there. And again, we can start talking about him being an MVP, especially if he's viewed as the engine the way Steve Nash was. We also got to talk about this Pacer squad and why they're viewed as an underdog. How does this affect their legacy going forward? How do either one of these teams make people view NBA teams going forward? Is the dynamic duo over and done? I heard somebody talk about that on my very show. They wanted the Cavs to get there. Cavs fan, they were biased. But we did talk about the Thunder. And they do come off like a team, even though Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is perceived to be the leader. So again, ladies and gentlemen, there's a bunch of storylines of this Pacers and Thunder finals matchup. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how it all transpires. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what you all thought about the show, what you all think about the finals, who you all leaning with, who do you all expect to win, and then the team that you think is going to win. Is there a world where the other team can win? Let's be fair. Let's be fair. It's called space bait. But, ladies and gentlemen, that does about conclude the end of the episode. Like I said, NBA Finals. It's a good time. Y'all heard my expectations. You heard my wish list for the games. If we could get a game 7, I'd be happy. I'm a little biased. You know what I'm saying? I like basketball. I'd like to see a little more basketball if possible. But I could also see too, like not a sweep. A sweep is tough. Like no game, that's tough, bro. That's so tough. If the Thunder get swept, I always believe your stars get you one. And that means you ain't got a star. I don't know. Like I can't say this was like I can't. Nah. And then same with the Pacers. Y'all can't get one game. Can't say you're a star. Siakam, I'll be looking at your ass too, boy. You can't get a game, dog, for real. Like Hallie, you can't get a game for real. All right, that's cool. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, finals is tuning in. I hope y'all all tune in. But also make sure you continue to tune in, like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about my show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. I hope you all are having a good one. Make sure y'all tune in into the NBA. And then let's give a little plug to the WNBA as well. But like I said, that's all. Take care.